LeBron really on track to win MVP in year 18? And Kyrie has some thoughts on why the Nets continue to struggle. Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. I am Jenna Wolf alongside Nick, Brandon, and the birthday boy, the K-Man, Kevin Wiles. Happy birthday, buddy. Going to be a fun morning because you are in a good mood.
You know what?
But Brandon, your Nets. Your Nets, are they ever going to figure this out, buddy?
Did Nick setting me up? Don't talk to me about the Nets and the defense. Is it me?
Okay, we'll stick with Kevin's
It's
birthday.
getting close, Brandon. It's getting awful close.
All that aside, we got to start in Seattle. All right. So yesterday, guys, we're out here, we're doing the show, yada, yada, boom. Brandon drops a bomb. Russell Wilson might be on his way out of Seattle. What? He said the Seahawks received calls for Russ the last couple of days. Then we heard reports Russ is ticked off about the way his team's protecting him. Strap in, folks. This story's taking flight. Here is Russ yesterday on the Dan Patrick Show. Listen to this.
Yeah, I definitely believe they're getting calls for sure. I think that, I think anytime you're, a player that, tries to produce every week and has done it for, consistently, I think people are going to call for sure. And I think it's part of the process.
Yeah, but you're a franchise quarterback. You're a Hall of Fame quarterback. You're not available, are you?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm available or not. That's a Seahawks question. But I think more than anything else is, I think at the end of the day, you want to win. You play this game every day to wake up to win. You play this game, to be the best in the world. I hate? I hate sitting there watching other guys play the game. There's nothing worse.
By the way, you looked miserable at the Super Bowl watching.
Yeah, there's a picture of Sierra and Roger talking. I'm sitting there pissed off. I'm watching this game, wishing that I was in there playing.
Brandon, you said the same thing. Watching him at the Super Bowl, he really did. He looked distracted. He looked miserable, as Dan said. How close do you think the Seahawks really are to losing Russell Wilson?
Yeah, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and I said Pete Carroll is on the verge of botching the Russell Wilson era. Like, he really is. You think about the Legion of Boom. That was that era. And once you dismantle that team and you give the ball solely to Russell Wilson, now you're saying lead us. And when you have a Hall of Fame quarterback, you can't ask this guy to hand the ball off on first and second, third down. You can't continue to go draft after draft after draft and not building up that offensive line. You have to give him everything he needs to be successful. This is really interesting. That interview he did with Dan yesterday was interesting because we've never seen this part of Russell, Nick. We've seen Russell Wilson, the husband. We've seen Russell Wilson, the business, the father. We've seen Russell Wilson, the teammate. We've never seen Russell Wilson, the businessman. Every interview Russell has ever done was always buttoned up. It's always, let me try to figure out how I can eliminate the distractions. What he did right there was actually peel back the curtains and say, look, I am frustrated. Yep. Every interview he's ever done always ended with, go Hawks, go Hawks. Go Hawks. That wasn't that. Exactly he didn't do that yesterday,
exactly
Nick.
Right.
Nick, that was Russell Wilson telling you, I want to see it at the table, and if business can't be done the right way, then it's time for me to move on. That's what I took from that interview.
That is the Go Hawks thing. I was thinking the same thing. He always has been the consummate teammate, consummate pro. Just won the damn Walter Payton Man of the Year award, in addition to being a great player. So in honor of Kevin Wild's birthday, we're going to play his favorite game on or off the air. We're going to play some role play. Because here's the deal. Here is what Russell Wilson, if he was happy, would have said when asked about people calling about Russell Wilson. So people are calling about you, Russ. Well, that's flattering. You always want to be wanted, but, they know what I know, what the Seahawks know. I'm a Seahawk for life. They can, anyone's allowed to call, but I imagine those are very short conversations. And while, I'm not the GM of this team, I can say with full faith and confidence, John Schneider, Pete Carroll are not trading me for anyone. So I'm flattered, but I'm not going anywhere. He could have said that, Wild.
That's right.
He chose not to, And to me, that was a very active, clear choice.
I totally agree with you. It's what we're not hearing from Seattle. I think Seattle's wasting their time trying to figure out how big of a fire they have on your hands. But here's the thing about fires in real life. Whether you got a little campfire and a spark jumps out and set a little bit of the grass on fire, or your house is ablaze in a raging inferno, guess what? The fire department sends the same fire truck because they don't want any fire whatsoever. Get the Dalmatian out of the way. We're showing up. We're putting it all out. Seattle is not doing that. Like, well, is this a little thing? Is this a big thing? Figure it out, fellas, because whether it's the personnel, whether it's the protection, whether it's the offensive philosophy, you got a fire on your hands. You need to put it out. And I know the nerds are going to be like, try to find an argument why this is okay to entertain. Like, well, when you look at the cap hit and when the financials are down because of the COVID-19 crisis, we didn't have people in the stands. Actually, now the percentage of his cap, and if you win a Super Bowl, like,
they're all contested.
I don't care. I don't care. Figure it out. The guy won you a Super Bowl, Nick, and he made 700 grand. So if he's making a lot now and he's eating up your cap, so be it. You got a fire. You need to put it out by any way you can.
But wait. There's another layer here from that interview yesterday. Russ also talked about wanting to be more involved in piecing together the roster around him. If he's going to cook, he wants a hand in picking the ingredients. Listen to what else he had to say here.
Are you involved in personnel decisions? Have you been involved in personnel decisions?
Not as much. I don't, I think that,
do you want to be involved, Russ?
Yeah, I think it helps. I think it helps to be involved more. But I think that dialogue should happen more often, in my opinion.
All right, so we call Nick our in-house GM for a reason. Nick, I'll throw to you on this one. You think Russell should be involved in Seahawks personnel decisions?
Yeah, and it's not because I think he'd be good at it. He might be good, he might be terrible. Guess what? Doesn't matter. Once again, in honor of Kevin Wilde's birthday, for Kevin Wilde's birthday, I was going to get him a very fancy Dyson hairdryer. They're like $500, but they're amazing. But then I heard Wildes doesn't believe in using a hairdryer. But I was like, you know what? For a man who loves his hair, he would appreciate it. Guess what? Russell Wilson loves the offensive line. You know what we should get him for his birthday? John Schneider should call him and say, Russ, I don't even know when Russ's birthday is. Early birthday present. Our second-round pick, it's yours. You don't talk to anybody. You just send us a name day of the draft. Is it your cousin? Is it an offensive lineman from Alabama? Is it a tight end? Do you flip a coin?
Right.
Do you call Daniel Jeremiah? Whatever you want. Because guess what? Maybe he gets it right. Maybe he gets it wrong. But you know what he gets, Brandon? Happy. We said it yesterday.
Yeah.
Money, power, respect. And it was not even in regards to Russell Wilson, but they've given him the money, but he's so good, he deserves all three. So you give him the money, now you give him a little power, that shows the respect. And if he wants to be in on the free agent room, no problem. Whatever you want, Russell, because we go as you go. That's the answer.
Look, here's the deal. It's like they keep trying to bargain. That's what the Seattle Seahawks do. And that's one of the reasons why they got in this position as far as like being successful year after year after year. But it comes a point where you got to grow up. What is the bargain? You try to go get me, Brandon Marshall. You try to come get me after 13 years. I'm done. I can't really help out Russell Wilson. You go get Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen's done. He can't really help out Russell Wilson. You go get Josh Gordon. I love Josh Gordon, but he has some personal issues, some things that he has to face off the field. So you try to go get those type of guys. And then offensive linemen. Go look at the offensive linemen that they bring in. These are guys that are coming off of injury. These are guys that had Pro Bowl years 3-4 years before, and they feel like they can now get back to being themselves. They have to make it a priority to give Russell exactly what he needs. This is a guy that's saying, I want to win now. So to answer your question, should he be a part of it? Yes. There's a few guys that should have a seat at the table. Not everyone are quarterbacks, but when you add so much value to an organization, you should be a part of it. Jay Cutler in Chicago, hell, I was walking in the building one day and I saw Jay Cutler in the offseason walking out, and I'm like, what are you doing here? He said, well, I just sat down with Coach Mark Trustman. I sat down with Bruce Arians. I sat down with Todd Bowles. polls, you know, so I was a part of the interview process. That blew my mind. That was the first time that I saw a player have a seat at a table that big. So Russell Wilson,
and Brandon,
Nick, here's the issue is that, here's the issue, and I'll give it to you. The issue is this. It's, you know, you'll come to me when you know, and give me a seat at the table when you want to bring in Greg Olsen. But then you're not really listening to me when we're talking about guys that may cost 8, 9, 10 million. Now you're saying, oh, Russ, we don't know if we can do that right now. And that is the problem.
And just very quickly, there's precedent for this. For a younger quarterback, what did the Chiefs do before they sent in their 32nd pick of the draft? They called Patrick. They're like, hey, we're thinking about a running back here. And what did he say? Yep, I'm with you. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And so, like, he had been in the league 3 years, and they did that. So there is precedent, Jenna, for a team empowered. But, you know, they know what I know, what the Seahawks know. I'm a Seahawk for life. They can, you know, anyone's allowed to call, but I imagine those are very short conversations. And while, you know, I'm not the GM of this team, I can say with full faith and confidence, John Schneider, Pete Carroll are not trading me for anyone. So I'm flattered, but I'm not going anywhere. He could have said that, Wildes.
That's right.
He chose not to, and to me, that was